Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Candice and I'm here to help you understand and manage your ADHD brain. Today I have an amazing topic to talk to you about, and it's meditation. Meditation, we hear about it a lot nowadays. We hear about a lot of mindfulness. It's good because we're in an era where we take care of our mental health, and I think meditation can be a big part of this when you have ADHD. So I want to show you in this video all the actionable tips you can put in place to include meditation in your life, and I'm going to show you how much of a difference it made in my life personally. It helped me, amongst other things, with my anger management issues, even though I struggle to admit it. When you have ADHD and you have this hyperactivity side of ADHD, anger can be a bit of a difficulty to handle. It's helped me with other things like stress and anxiety. So I want to show you how you can apply it to your own life. Otherwise, you can just choose where you want to land in the timestamps below. So if you don't want to watch the beginning where I tell you about my story with meditation, just skip to the actionable tips. That's completely okay. I understand we have a low attention span. So the first thing I wanted to do was to define meditation, because as I said, we hear a lot about mindfulness meditation nowadays, but I'm not sure we really talk about the same thing if I don't define it with you. So meditation, as defined by Wikipedia, meditation is a practice of mindfulness or focusing the mind on a particular object, thought, or activity to train attention and awareness and achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm and stable state. For my part, what I mean by meditation and the practice I've done over the years mostly is being present in my body and letting my thoughts flow without attaching particular attention to them, if that makes sense. So it's basically just sitting down in a comfortable position, breathing, focusing on your breathing, focusing on your body, and allowing thoughts to come up and just not grabbing onto them. That's what I've done in my own experience. Before anything else, I wanted to explain how did I come across meditation. I know I do this a lot because I have one hand stuck with the microphone, so this is my expressive hand. So I first heard about meditation probably back in 2017. That was when I heard about Headspace. If you haven't heard about Headspace, they're not sponsoring this video, by the way. But if you've never heard about Headspace, it's an app that provides guided meditation and a lot more now that it has evolved in the past 6 or 7 years that I've been using it. But basically provides guided meditation. And back then, I was in my first or second year of university. I was lost. I was depressed. I didn't understand how my mind worked because I didn't know I had ADHD. So I was basically all over the place, not understanding why at 18 or 19, I couldn't just figure out life on my own. I have my notes down there if you see me looking. Headspace has been a huge help. But a second aspect of my history with meditation, which makes me think I can talk to you about it and maybe give you advice on it, is that I meditated with other people. So the second instance of my meditation journey, apart from Headspace, was a few years later when I actually got diagnosed. Thank God. I got diagnosed with ADHD at age 21, and then I went to CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, in France. And my therapist told me, hey, why don't you join me in my meditation group? I coach meditation to a bunch of people who have ADHD just like you. And he, started by explaining to me the benefits of meditation. He gave me a few audio meditations in French that I did, and it was like the first time I was wowed by the effect meditation could have on me and on my whole body and brain. It was kind of crazy. So I was like, of course I'll join the group. And then I had the opportunity to actually meditate with people. So he would guide the meditation, and then we would reflect on our experience. And it was so valuable to see that other people were struggling with the same problem. Like, they also had a million thoughts when they woke up in the morning. They also struggled to focus on anything because they were thinking about doing 5 things at the same time. And when they sat down and tried to sit still and meditate, they were still bombarded by thoughts, just like I was. So it was so interesting to see those people going through the same thing. And I think those encounters allowed me to not just give up entirely on meditation and think, this is not for me, I have ADHD, I just can't sit still and, focus on nothing for 10 minutes, this is impossible. It made me realize that, I could actually do it, and we could get better at it. as ADHDers. So it was an amazing experience. And then probably the last and the most recent like big experience with meditation, which was, I think, for me the most transcending experience really, was last year when I went through a really hard breakup. It was a really tough period for me, and I was living at that point at my aunt's house. That's how you say it. She talked to me about this temple, this Buddhist temple that was hidden in the hills, not far from where she lived. And she said, you know, we could go together at some point. They offer like weekends where you can meditate with teachers, and then they offer you a meal and you can just, you know, share it with the community there. It sounded really fun, but back then I was still in a relationship. As soon as this relationship ended and I was in a lot of pain, I turned to meditation. I turned to mindfulness and meditation as a solution for my pain, because I couldn't figure out, like, how do you deal with this amount of pain? And I had to come back to the basics of meditation. Even though I knew what it was, I had done it with Headspace, I wanted to have this immersive experience of going to a temple, seeing monks practice meditation all day long, being guided through this, and maybe I would find people who can connect with my experience. By talking to my aunt about this, she said, you know, a lot of people go there because they have very difficult things that they're going through in life. And I said, well, this is the perfect spot for me. So I just went there, took my car, drove an hour up the hill. And when I arrived, I was blown away by the beauty of the site, how isolated it was. And I couldn't wait to just sit on the mat and with people and meditate. So that's what I did the whole day. I heard from people who were hurting, as I would have expected. And it was beautiful because we were just all here for one thing, which was to sit in silence and observe our thoughts and let go of the judgment, let go of the stress, of the sadness, or not let go, but be present with it and accept that it's not going to go away. And that was a beautiful experience. And the most beautiful thing actually was meeting people like me. I met other people who had ADHD. I met someone who was on the spectrum. I met someone who was ADHD. Pretty sure maybe other people who were there also didn't, you know, share their diagnosis, but probably had it, because we were a lot of people talking about like overthinking, mental hyperactivity and stuff. So it was so cool to be like, oh, you're using meditation as well to cure your ADHD. It was really beautiful. So that is overall my experience with meditation, and I'm so convinced from those experiences and community that meditation is so good for you. I was gonna say it's an escape, but no, it's a reconnection to the present moment. And I'm gonna show you what I mean by this, because maybe until now you're just like, what the hell does she mean by meditation is so good and it changes your life? Like, I don't get it. You're gonna understand when I show you what I do and actually what it serves. Like, what purpose does meditation serve for someone who has ADHD? A question you might have by now is, how do I meditate? Like, what is actually the practice of meditation, and what does it solve for someone with ADHD, or at least what does it help me with? I can start by telling you that the rhythm I found with meditation is to meditate a bit every day. A lot of people will say it's no use doing 1 hour of meditation every week. If you can just fit in 5 or 10 minutes every day, you'll see the results. But basically, if we go back to what I said, how meditation is defined, so it's basically learning to be with your body in the present moment and observing your thoughts. What we do as human, everyone, whether you have ADHD or not, is we tend to get caught up in the thoughts that we have, and often taking the thoughts as the only version of our reality. So if you're thinking, I'm not good at this, you really think you're not good at this. But actually what's happening is you have a thought that you're not good at this. So meditation kind of teaches you to put this distance between you and the thoughts. It teaches you to look at the thoughts, go past, like you are looking at cars going past you on a road, or clouds, you know, moving in the sky and slowly covering the blue sky. The blue sky is often the metaphor for your higher being, and the clouds is like the mental chatter, the mental activity, which can sometimes overcast completely the blue sky, and sometimes you have, just one or two over there and you can just watch them go by and not attach any importance to them because they're just thoughts. So that's basically what meditation does. Why is it helpful for someone who has ADHD? Well, for a couple of reasons, actually more than a couple. The first one I mentioned in the introduction is, for me, a very good reason to meditate, and this is probably the reason I go back to meditation every time I stop meditating. It's the strong emotions management / anger management. So with my hyperactive side of ADHD, I tend to, sorry, I'm cramping up with my hand holding the mic. So I have this impulsivity and lack of emotional regulation. For me, this is like my biggest problem in relationships. Anytime I stop meditating for a long time, I notice that I start getting more angry and angry faster at the people whom I love, and I just start having more arguments and sometimes be more explosive. When I'm really explosive with my anger, or I start shouting, it's not really something I'm proud of talking about, but it's something that happens, and I think we should all talk about it openly. So those, strong outbursts or like emotions are definitely helped by meditation, because meditation kind of allows me to, in the moment when I feel my emotions rising, which can feel like a very strong wave that I can't resist, with meditation, with a regular practice, I'm able to take a step back, notice the situation, notice that I'm actually in override and that my mental chatter is just intensifying, and I can notice this, and I can see myself getting angry and stop. I mean, I won't stop completely, obviously. Sometimes when you're started, you can just be like, oh, it's fine, I'm okay. I'll be angry, but at least I can be aware of my actions, and this is very important because angry outbursts can have very obviously very negative consequences on your relationships. So it has helped me immensely with that. Another thing is anxiety and stress. So 2 months ago, I found myself in a hotel room in like a panic crisis because I was very, very anxious, but it had gotten to a point where it was really, really hard focusing on anything else. I was in paralysis most of the time. Like, I was so anxious and so stressed out that I was like, always thinking that something was going to catch me and I was going to die. Obviously, I went to see a therapist because this is not a normal amount of anxiety anyone should have, even with ADHD. So I did get a lot of help from my therapist, and now I'm feeling much better. So just wanted to put a little disclaimer out there. But meditation, let me tell you, the night where I was flipping out in my hotel room on my own, I realized, wait a second, I've been off meditation for, it had been months by then. And the anxiety and the stress had just increased until it was unbearable. And I was in so much stress and so much anxiety that I was thinking about it when I was working, when I was talking to my friends and family. And I just said, okay, tomorrow morning, so now I go to bed tomorrow morning, I wake up, first thing I do, I meditate in my bed, and then I write down my thoughts. The moment I did this, the next morning, I felt already a bit relieved, and a little bit better than I had felt in months. And obviously it had to come back with, a few sessions of meditations, and after a few days, a few weeks, I could see a real change. But even from the first time I did it again, it did something in me, and I felt this reassurance that I could actually deal with those thoughts. And I was able to see the thoughts as they were, just anxious thoughts that were not true. And that helped me so much because I was in the belief that everything I was thinking was true and something was out to get me. So it helped a lot. I think another thing that meditation helps me with is everyday interactions and communications, whether at work, with my partner, parents, family. It's just being able to reflect, or I would say rather observe the situation, really tune into what the other person is saying. Like, if you're talking to someone sometimes we'll just be in our heads, like thinking, what is the next thing we're going to say, or thinking about plans we have to make for tomorrow. And meditation helps you connect more deeply with people, because you'll notice the thoughts passing by in your head and be like, okay, this is my thoughts and this is the present moment. So if I'm talking to you and you're talking to me, I'll try to listen 100% and be there 100%. So you notice, even though you'll never be perfect at this and be thoughtless, you notice when a thought comes up and you bring yourself back to the conversation. So this can help a lot with anyone who's ever told you that you don't listen to them. Like, it's a toolkit to just notice when we're getting distracted and taking us back to the present moment. I think I'm going to wrap up this part about the effects of meditation in a bit. I just want to highlight the most important thing about meditation and ADHD. For me, meditation is there always. It's realizing that it's a tool that I can always deploy to help me manage my life, my emotions, and my thoughts. So meditation, since the day I found out about it, and now that I'm practicing it more and more, I realize how much of a life raft it is. When I go through something really difficult in life, I'm always confident that I can go back to Headspace, I can go back to the guided meditation if I need someone to guide me through it, or I can go back just to my own silence, take a pillow on my floor, sit down for 10 minutes, and look at the thoughts go. And this is so reassuring to have this notion that no matter what happens, no matter how hard life gets, you have a resource within you to deal with this, to deal with anything that comes up. And I think it's really, really what draws me again and again and again to meditation. The resulting emotions I feel from daily practice, I had to write them down actually, because this is truly what I felt when I was writing down examples. It's joy, and it can sound cliche, I hear it, but peace, calm, joy, serenity, gratitude, stimulation even, because every practice is different. So it's like every time I sit down with my thoughts, I can expect them to be different from the last one. So I'm always stimulated in a way. It's not boring. And the app also plays a huge role into this, because having different guided meditations and videos every day is very, entertaining and stimulating for the ADHD brain. That's it for the second part, where I showed you about how meditation can really impact positively the ADHD brain and how it has helped me with my ADHD issues. I'll tell you now how you can put actionable tips into action to start meditating, or meditate maybe a bit more regularly if you were already meditating a bit. Okay, so now I want you to see that the difficulties that are linked to ADHD can be very well managed in a specific meditation practice. So you can take the steps necessary to adapt the meditation practice to your ADHD brain so that you're not bored, you're not understimulated. Just basically make some choices that help you stick with meditation. If, of course, you're convinced by all the good things it can bring to your ADHD life. First challenge for us ADHDers, sitting down and not doing anything for 10 minutes. I know that for me, even just this is hard. I get you if you're just there like, haha, I've tried, it doesn't work, my mind is racing even more when I sit down, it's awful, I can't do this. Meditation at first, even especially for someone who has ADHD, is not fun. It's not really, you sit down and you're like, wow, this amazing practice, I can do it every day, I don't get bored, I don't, it is a practice. That's why the word practice exists. At first, when you sit down, you'll notice that 1,000 thoughts are going through your head, and even more intense ones. You'll notice emotions, you'll notice stuff you had never noticed before. If it's the very first time you meditate, it has the same action as a magnifying glass over everything that's going on in your head. You will see them 10 times clearer and just more intense. That is completely normal. It's something to expect. I just want to say, do not stop there and think this is not for me, because I've been through this. Everyone who has ADHD and who's currently meditating regularly has been through this. Do not get discouraged by this first weird phase of getting to know your mind, basically. Your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your body. When you meditate and you've never done it before, you're getting to know yourself, and it can feel really overwhelming at first, but bear with it. And you'll see it will slowly get better, and you'll learn a lot about yourself every day. Second thing that was very linked to, sitting down and not doing anything is something that in guided meditation they recommend you do is find a good spot and sit in a comfortable position. I know for me that finding a comfortable position at first, I was like, what do they mean by comfortable position? Do I sit down? Do I lay down? Do I cross my legs? Do I put my hands on my knees? Do I blah, 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 blah? Like all kinds of questions. And I realized, with time, with the practices, that I just found something that worked for me. Now I like to sit cross-legged. I've done it when I was at the temple and other times on something called a zafu, which is like a cushion. Basically, there are things that you can buy to do meditation, but you really don't have to. The most basic position that guided meditation recommends, like Headspace, for example, they just say you sit down in a chair, put your arms on top of your legs, and sit in a relaxed position. I know that you're gonna want to shift around, scratch this and that. When you're steady and you're not used to it, you'll want to move at some point. And again, it's completely okay. Once I understood that no one was going to score me based on whether I sit still or not, I felt more relaxed, and then I stopped, moving around so much. And when I did, it wasn't a big deal. But I did still notice that when I went to the temple and we were like 10 people in the room, I was probably one of the most like fidgety one of them, but it's okay. I thought it just doesn't matter. Like as long as you're doing the meditation, not getting up and then back down and then doing something else while the person is guiding you in your ears. Obviously, do dedicate time to it and do it with intention. That's important, but just don't worry too much about moving a little bit. Last thing I can say is make it easy and make it simple for you. So one thing I mentioned is having so many thoughts that it's tiring, it's exhausting, especially for someone who has ADHD. So what I do is I meditate very early in the morning. Why? Because that's when my thoughts haven't started coming out too loud yet. So it's definitely still a mess when I wake up. Even before I open my eyes, it's like a million things going on in my head. But I don't touch my phone, I don't connect to any social media or to my work laptop or anything. So, my brain is still a bit foggy from the sleep, and I'm not too tired when I do it. So I'm a morning person, so that's why. But you can do it, a bit before bed. You'll probably have more thoughts and context about the day, so it'll be a bit more crowded in there. But yeah, the morning for me is a great moment to do it. I meditate probably 30 minutes to an hour after I wake up, and then when I don't do it as early, I'll try to fit it in my day later on. But early in the morning is great. Also, what I can recommend if you have too many thoughts when you try to sit down and meditate is take a journal and write them down. It actually helps to get them on paper, and you'll feel that your mind is a bit less chatty when you start meditating. Last piece of advice I can give you is make it simple through guided meditation. Headspace is an amazing app which offers guided meditation videos, etc. It helped me a lot, especially when being cut off from meditation for a long time and then coming back to it. Sometimes I go through their basics course or basics video where they just explain a few meditation techniques that are really helpful, because meditation is something, it is a practice, but there are a few things to learn at first, and then you can kind of go on your own and apply those techniques and meditate without an app, which is something I would love to do actually more often. But I do love the simplicity and the attractiveness of using an app. Every day I log on to it, I just click on the app, I connect it to my iPad, I just sit down wherever I sit down to meditate, and it's on. They have this really amazing, it sounds like I'm really sponsored. I am not, I swear. The point is not the app. The point is to find something that works for you. You can find videos online, you can find anything really, but find something that you want to get back to every day, something that brings you stimulation, something that changes things up a bit, not like the same old meditation every day. And do start with a small amount of time and then go on to longer meditations. I personally started with 3 minutes, and it was already a lot for me. And then I can do 5. I still do 5 minutes a lot of the time. My average length is probably 8 minutes of meditation. I try to do it every day, but again, if you haven't watched my video on consistency, not being consistent is okay. And they will tell you that on the guided meditation apps a lot of the time. Very often they'll be like, if you miss a few days, it's okay. Just move on with your life, get back to meditation, start meditating again. No big deal. So I think that's it for this video, guys. I must have forgotten a few things that I wanted to tell you, but I'll be happy to make another video on meditation if you're at all interested. Please let me know what you thought in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.